You ever hear somebody say, "I'll do it tomorrow"? Yeah, me too. Now ask yourself how many dreams are buried in that one word, later. See, we've been conditioned, taught to believe there's a perfect moment out there waiting for us. That someday the stars will align, the fog will lift, and everything will make sense. So we wait, we stall, we scroll, we talk about what we could do, what we plan to do, what we hope to become. But let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way: later is a thief. It steals your time, your fire, your momentum. I used to say, I'll start next week. I'll chase that dream when I have more time. But weeks turned into months, months into years, and one day I looked in the mirror and saw a man full of potential, but empty of progress. Why? Because I bought into the lie that tomorrow is promised, the lie that preparation is better than action, that overthinking is wisdom, when really, it's just fear wearing a fancy suit. See, later isn't just a time, it's a comfort zone, it's a hiding place. It lets you avoid the risk, avoid the rejection, avoid the responsibility. But let me be real with you, you will never feel fully ready. Ever, and that's okay. Greatness doesn't wait on your comfort. It meets you in your courage. It meets you the moment you say, I'm doing it now, scared, unsure, unqualified, but I'm doing it anyway. You think I knew how everything would turn out. You think I walked into every role, every speech, every season knowing exactly what to do. No, but I showed up, I stepped up, and I kept going, because motion beats meditation. People out here spending years planning the perfect step instead of just taking one. You don't need perfect timing, you need movement. One step, one choice, one uncomfortable yes. Let me tell you something. Time is not waiting on you. Opportunity is not looping back. The clock is ticking whether you act or not. So what are you really waiting for? That idea you've been sitting on, that dream that keeps tapping on your heart at 2 a.m., that goal you're secretly scared to speak out loud. You either start now, or you spend the rest of your life haunted by what could have been. And that, my friend, is the true cost of later. You know, for the longest time I was afraid to fail. I mean really afraid. That deep kind of fear that makes your stomach twist. That voice in your head that says, what if I fall flat on my face? What if I try, and I'm not good enough? And so I'd play it safe. I'd stay in my lane. I'd stick to what I was good at, or what I thought I was good at, because failure felt like the end of something. Like shame, like confirmation that maybe I wasn't built for the dream after all. But I'll tell you what I wish someone had told me sooner. Failure is not your enemy, it's your mirror, it's your map, it's your mentor. Every setback I've had, every time I missed the mark, every audition that didn't call back, every project that didn't hit like I thought it would, it taught me something I couldn't have learned any other way. See, success will whisper to you, but failure screams. It demands your attention. It shines a spotlight on what needs work, where your habits are weak, where your ego's too loud, or your preparation's too thin. I remember one role I didn't get, man, I wanted it bad. I poured my heart into that audition, weeks of prep, felt like I had it in the bag, but they passed, gave it to someone else, and I was crushed. Embarrassed, angry, but when the dust settled, I had to ask myself, why did I fall short? What could I sharpen? What did this experience teach me about who I am, not just what I do? And in that silence, I found growth. That's the thing. You don't grow in the win, you grow in the wound. And if you never fail, it means you're not pushing hard enough. You're not stretching. You're staying where it's warm, where it's safe, where your potential is tucked under the blanket of fear. Let me be clear. Failing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying. It means you stepped up when most people sat down. And yeah, it hurts, it stings, but it builds you. It breaks you open so you can expand beyond the version of you that thought comfort was the goal. Success, real success, the kind that lasts, is built on failure. It's layered with bruises and backed by moments you wanted to quit but didn't. It's when you choose to get up again, knowing you might fall again, but you get up anyway. That's power, that's growth, and that's why I don't fear failure anymore, because every time I fall, I rise a little smarter, a little stronger, a little more ready for the next mountain, and that's a lesson I carry in my bones now. A lesson I wish I knew a whole lot sooner. I used to think I could do it all on my own. You know, just put my head down, grind in silence, and keep moving forward. That somehow Success was this solo journey that if I just worked hard enough, I didn't need anybody else. But let me tell you something I learned, and I learned it the long way. Who you keep around you matters, more than you know. See, people are like elevators. They either lift you up, or they bring you down. And sometimes they don't even mean to, but their energy, their mindset, their habits, they seep into your life like smoke under a door. Silent, unseen, but dangerous. I've been in rooms where I felt small. Not because I lacked talent, not because I wasn't prepared, but because the people around me didn't believe in anything bigger than what they could see. They were stuck in survival mode, talking fear, talking doubt, playing it safe. And before I knew it, I started thinking the same. You ever been around someone who makes you second? Guess your dreams, not outright, but with those little jabs. You really think you can do that? That's risky, man. Maybe you should just stick to what you know. And if you're not careful, you start shrinking yourself to fit their comfort zone. You start folding in your edges, toning down your fire just to be accepted. But I realized, I don't need to be accepted by people who are afraid to grow. What I needed, what I wish I found earlier, were people who challenged me, people who pushed me, people who saw more in me than I saw in myself. I'll never forget a conversation I had with someone I respected deeply. I was hesitating on a decision. I was afraid of stepping into something bigger, something unfamiliar. And they looked me straight in the eye and said, "Why are you dimming your light to make others comfortable? Who told you you weren't enough?" That moment hit me hard. Because the truth was, I'd been surrounded by people who weren't stretching me, they were keeping me stagnant. Good people, maybe, but not growth people. I'm telling you, you need to be around folks who don't flinch when you talk big dreams. People who don't just tolerate your ambition, but fuel it. People who speak life into your goals when you're low, who call you out when you're slipping, who hold you accountable to the standards you say you want to live by. That's the kind of circle that changes your trajectory, and if you can't find that circle right away, be it. Be the standard, set the tone, and watch who starts showing up. Because energy attracts energy. And once I started protecting my space, choosing my relationships like I choose my roles, with discernment and intention, everything changed. My mindset shifted, my results elevated, my peace returned. It's not about how many people know your name, it's about how many are willing to walk with you in the dark. I wish I knew that sooner, I really do, because success doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community. And the people around you, they're either planting seeds or pulling up roots. There was a time I thought passion was everything. I'd listen to those motivational videos, see people talking with fire in their chest, and I'd think, that's what I need. I need to feel it every day. I need to be hyped. I need to be inspired 24/7. But let me tell you something that hit me like a brick one morning when the alarm went off and I didn't feel like getting up. Motivation is overrated. Yeah, I said it. Motivation is a visitor. It shows up when it wants to. It's that friend that hypes you up on Friday night, but disappears when it's time to move furniture on Saturday morning. It's not dependable. It's not consistent. It's emotional, fleeting. It comes and goes with your mood, with your energy, with your circumstances. And life doesn't care how you feel. You think a dream is going to wait for you to be in the mood. You think greatness is going to knock on your door and ask if you're ready, if you're motivated enough to take the meeting, hit the gym, do the work. No, what carries you is discipline, that daily decision to do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. I've had days where I was exhausted, days where I doubted everything, days where the crowd was silent, the feedback was cold, the path felt long and lonely. And if I had waited for motivation on those days, I'd still be waiting. Discipline is showing up when you're tired. Discipline is rehearsing the lines again when you already know them, not because you want to, but because excellence demands it. Discipline is choosing focus over comfort. It's showing up to the gym when your body says rest and your goals say not yet. It's writing when you're uninspired, practicing when you're unrecognized, grinding when no one's watching. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it builds something that motivation never could. Muscle, mental muscle, emotional muscle, character. I remember a mentor once said to me, "Your future self is being built by what you do when no one's clapping." And man, that stuck with me, because it's easy to be disciplined when the lights are on, when the world is watching, when the hype is real. But the real test, it's what you do in the dark, when it's just you, your habits, and your honesty. People ask me all the time, how do I stay motivated? You don't. You stay committed. You build a rhythm, a routine, a system so strong that even on your worst day, you're still moving forward. Maybe not fast, maybe not with fireworks, but forward, and that, right there, is what separates the ones who want it from the ones who live it. I wish I understood that sooner, because once I stopped chasing feelings and started chasing consistency, everything changed. My mindset shifted, my results multiplied, my self-respect grew, because when discipline leads, success follows. Every time, there's something powerful that happens when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting the process. I didn't always get that. I used to overthink every move, analyze every decision, question every outcome. I'd try to predict how everything would unfold before I even took the first step. But the truth is, life doesn't hand you a roadmap. It gives you faith, it demands focus, and it rewards forward motion. I've learned that clarity doesn't always come before action. Sometimes it shows up because of action. You take a step, and then the next one appears. But if you're waiting for the whole staircase before you move, you'll be standing still for the rest of your life. Faith isn't about knowing how the story ends, it's about trusting that you're being written into something greater than where you started. That your purpose is unfolding even when the path feels unclear. There were times I felt lost, times I thought, is this really where I'm supposed to be? I questioned the timing, I doubted the direction. I wondered why the road was so hard, so lonely, so uncertain. But every time I stayed grounded in faith, faith in God, faith in the calling, faith in the work I was doing somehow, things started aligning. Not perfectly, not immediately, but eventually. And when I say focus, I'm not just talking about blocking out distractions. I'm talking about locking in on what matters, not letting the noise of the world drown out the voice of your purpose, not letting comparison steal your energy or fear rob you of your momentum. Focus means keeping your eyes on your own paper, writing your own story, and refusing to let other people's pace dictate your progress. You can't chase every trend, follow every opinion, or respond to every critic. You've got to focus like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. The quality of your life, the fulfillment of your purpose, the legacy you leave behind. It all comes down to what you give your focus to. And then there's forward motion. Look, you're not always gonna have the wind at your back. Some days, you're pushing through storms. Some days, it feels like you're crawling. But motion, even the smallest bit of it, keeps the fire alive. Progress is progress, no matter how slow. 1 inch forward is still further than standing still. People think you need to leap. Nah. Sometimes you just need to lean in, lean forward, lean on your faith, and take the next small, brave step. That's what builds momentum. That's what creates breakthroughs. Every major shift in my life started with a tiny move, a call I didn't want to make, a room I was scared to walk into, a commitment I didn't feel ready for. But I took the step anyway, and that step led to the next. Then another, until suddenly, I looked back and realized I was miles away from the person who once stood frozen, waiting for the perfect moment. Faith, focus, forward motion. It's not a formula, it's not a slogan. It's a lifestyle, and I can tell you when you live by it, no matter what comes your way, you won't just survive. You'll rise, you'll grow. You'll walk into rooms you once dreamed of, prepared by the steps no one saw you take. And that's what this journey is all about. So here we are. I've walked you through 5 lessons I wish I knew sooner, not just ideas, but truths carved out of failure, pain, patience, and growth. The illusion of later, the power of failure, the impact of your circle, the strength of discipline, and the freedom found in faith, focus, and forward motion. If you take nothing else from this, hear this. Your life doesn't change when you get more time, or more motivation, or more approval. It changes when you decide that later is no longer good enough, When you stop fearing failure and start using it. When you cut off the noise around you and surround yourself with people who speak to your future, not your fear. When you stop waiting to feel ready and start choosing consistency over comfort. When you trust the process even when it's slow, even when it's silent, because this journey you're on, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present, showing up day after day, breath after breath, step after step. And if nobody's told you yet you are built for this, you are capable, you are called, you are enough, so stop waiting. The time is not next week. It's not when things calm down. It's not after you feel brave. The time is now. Your future is waiting on the other side of one bold choice. So go get it.